Tonight, I want to talk about what has happened in Belfast over the last few days and nights. There was a man, Stephen Ogilvy, who was brutally attacked in North Belfast. He's in hospital and his family are living through something no family should ever have to live through. The details that have emerged are deeply saddening, and a man has appeared in court charged with attempted murder, and the justice system now must be allowed to do its job. And this is where any decent society starts. Where crime happens, the police investigate, evidence is gathered, and someone is charged. A court hears the case, and justice takes its course. That is the difference between civilization and a mob. And what we have seen in Belfast since that attack has not been justice, it's not patriotism, it is not a community defence, it has not been people standing up for local families, it's been thuggery, it has been intimidation, it's been racism, it has been opportunists taking the pain of one family and using it as an excuse to terrorise completely innocent people. And I think that needs to be said clearly. You can be angry about the knife attack, absolutely. You should be angry about the knife attack, actually. Any normal person looking at what happened would feel anger and disgust, sadness and fear. But burning homes, attacking people because of where they are from, throwing bricks at police, setting vehicles on fire, forcing families to flee the houses. This is not anger, but it's not justice. It is people using a tragedy for permission to behave like thugs. And the worst part of this is the family of the victims have said that they do not want any of this to happen in their loved one's name. Now think about that. The family are actually living through this nightmare, have had to come out and say effectively, stop, do not use our pain to divide the people, and do not use this strategy to fuel hatred. That should have been the end of it. But when the victim's family says that they're disgusted by this disorder, decent people listen. When they say peaceful protest is the only way forward, decent people will listen. But when they say false information is causing them distress, decent people stop sharing rumours and start showing respect. But the mob does not care about the victim's family. This is the uncomfortable truth that none of the politicians will say, especially the unionist ones. It has to be said. The mob only cares about the mob. They are not out because of Stephen Ogilvy. They are not out because they want an excuse. They're out basically just they're waiting for a spark to wreck the place. They're out because social media is poisoning them into thinking that every migrant, every foreign-looking person, every person in a hotel, every family in a rented house somehow has to answer for actions of one accused man. That's not justice. It is collective punishment. And collective punishment is always wrong. It never works, never will. There's no way around that. There's no clever argument for it. There's no but people are angry excuse that makes it alright. If a local man from Belfast commits a crime, we do not burn every Belfast family out of their home. If a man from Newry commits a crime, we do not attack every person from Newry. The same goes, for all the communities. We do not go there and do it. So why are we now applying that logic to migrants? Because it's easier. It's cowardly, and because it lets people feel powerful while attacking the powerless. And let's be honest about who gets hurt in these situations. It's not the politicians. It's not the people in Storming. It's not the people making speeches online. It's not the influencers stirring the pot from behind a phone screen. It's not the hard men posting flags and fire emojis from the safety of their living rooms. It's the families. It's the children. It's the students. It's the nurses. It's the workers. It's the people who come here for a better life. It is for people who may have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the accused man or the attack or anything else. Some of these people work in a hospital, some work in the care homes, some work in shops, restaurants, taxis, hotels, factories, whatever. Some are studying, some are raising children, some are just trying to get through the week like the rest of us. And then a crowd turns up, masked up, screaming, throwing things, setting fires, and tell them to get out. It's a disgrace. It truly is disgraceful. And am I going to say something else from people might not like? You can support tighter controls and still condemn the riots. These two things are not the same. I think there is a very serious conversation to be had about immigration, asylum, background checks, the common travel area, movement between Britain and Ireland, and how Ireland and the UK deal with people arriving through different legal routes. Absolutely. And it should be addressed seriously and quickly. I think many ordinary people have genuine concerns. They're worried about housing, they're worried about pressure on public services, they're worried about vetting, they're worried about whether governments actually know who is entering, where they're going, and whether communities are being properly consulted. Those are legitimate and true concerns. And in my view, there should be tighter, smarter, and more serious controls around movement into Ireland across these islands. That means better cooperation between the Irish, British, and EU authorities. It means stronger checks where legally possible. It means for faster sharing of criminal intelligence. It means proper vetting. It means not allowing loopholes to exist that because politicians are too afraid to touch a difficult subject. But there is the important bit, and here it is. None of that gives anyone the right to burn a family out of a fucking house. None of that gives anyone the right to attack the cops. None of that gives anyone to threaten people in hotels to burn them out. None of that gives anyone the right to create hit lists, circulate addresses, or terrifying innocent people. A serious country can have serious immigration controls. A serious country can have a fair asylum system. A serious country can deport criminals. A serious country can protect its borders. A serious country can also protect innocent migrants from baying mobs. And that is the line. And if you cannot see that, then you're not interested in policy. You're interested in punishment. There's a massive difference between saying we need better immigration rules and saying, well, let's go and wreck the houses of a random foreign family. One is politics, and the other is simple criminality. One is a debate, and the other is intimidation. One is about trying to fix a system, the other is about making innocent people afraid to sleep in their beds. And I'm sick of people pretending the two are the same because they're not. Every time a riot like this happens, it actually makes it harder to have a sensible conversation with people. You know, it poisons the whole debate. It allows politicians to avoid the hard question because they can point at the fires and say, that's what immigration concern looks like. You know, it allows the genuine worries of ordinary people to be lumped in with the actions of masked idiots throwing bricks. It allows the whole subject to be shut down instead of dealt with properly. So the rioters are not helping anyone. Believe you me, they're not. They are not helping local people waiting on housing, of which I am one. They are not helping victims of crime. They are not helping people worried about public services. They are not helping communities who feel ignored. They're doing actually the opposite. They are giving the government an excuse to ignore the real conversation that needs to happen because the loudest image becomes a burning car, smashed window, a terrified family, or a line of riot police. And then decent people with genuine concerns just saying nothing because they don't want to be associated with that. And that is why I'm strongly against what has happened in Belfast and various other places across the north. Not because I think everything is perfect. As I said before, it's not. It's far from perfect. Not because I think immigration systems are working perfectly. As I said before, they're just not. We all know this. We all know that it's not. Not because I think people should be told shut up if they have concerns. They should not. I'm against it because mob violence destroys any chance of serious adult conversation. It drags everything into the fucking gutter. And the north here, of all places, should know where that fucking road leads to. We know what happens when people decide the police and courts are not enough. We know what happens when crowds decide guilt by identity. We know what happens when fear spreads street by street, rumour by rumour, house by house. We know what happens when people begin to think imitation is a form of politics. We've lived with the consequences of that and kind of thinking. That kind of thinking is gone now for a generation or two. And we should be the first people to reject it, not the last. There's something especially grim about seeing people here act like a mob and it can bring justice when we know better, or at least we should, given our fucking horrific history. If someone is accused of a crime, let the justice system deal with it. If he is found guilty, let him face the full force of the law. If there are immigration failures connected to this case, then let them be exposed. If there are vetting failures, let them be investigated. If there are loopholes between systems, close them. If there are people who commit serious crimes and have no right to remain, remove them through lawful process. Get them out. Absolutely. But do not pretend that attacking random people is justice, or that you're doing it for a noble cause, because you're not. It's simply cowardice designed and dressed up as a concern. And it does not even honour the victim. It insults him. It takes the suffering of his family and turns it into a political weapon. The family should be allowed to focus on Stephen's recovery. They should not have to issue statements begging people not to riot. They should not have to clarify false information online, and they definitely should not have to watch strangers use their loved one's name as a rallying cry for riots. That's cruel in its very essence. And the people spreading fake news to take a long look at themselves as well. They really need to. Social media has been central to this, I believe. Rumours spread faster than facts, and the videos are shared without context. Claims are made with no evidence. People who know absolutely nothing suddenly become experts. And before long, you have crowds on the street acting on half truths, lies, and rage. And this is dangerous. If you're sharing claims about this case and you don't know that they're not the truth, then just stop. If you're posting names, addresses, rumours, or supposed details that have not been confirmed, why? Just don't. If you're encouraging people to gather outside houses or hotels, stop. Because this is not harmless. This is how people get hurt. This is how innocent families end up running from their homes. And this is how police officers, emergency workers, and bystanders get injured. And that is how a horrific crime becomes a wider community crisis. We need to be better than this. And I agree, yes, politicians need to do better too. Every one of them, from all sides. People are angry because they feel ignored. They're angry. Their anger does not come from nowhere. Like, across Ireland, north and south, there are serious concerns around housing, services, asylum, accommodation, community consultation, and government transparency. I know. And when people feel that decision has been made above their heads, resentment grows. When local communities can see the pressure on the services and nobody explains anything to them properly, resentment grows, and then it just grows and grows and grows and grows and becomes this boiling point. This is where responsible leadership matters. Responsible leaders do not pretend every concern is racism, but they also do not feed hatred. They do not stand near mobs and wink at them. They do not use inflammatory language and then act shocked when someone lights a fucking fire. They do not exploit fear for votes. They tell the truth. And the truth is that immigration policy needs to be controlled, fair, and enforceable. The truth is that criminals should be removed where the law allows. And the truth is that asylum systems must be properly managed. The truth is that Ireland, the UK, and the EU need far better cooperation on who is moving where, under what status, and with what checks. But the truth is also that migrants are human beings too. And that truth is that many migrants are working, contributing, and keeping parts of society function. The truth is that a person's skin colour, accent, or country of birth does not make them guilty of someone else's crime. The truth is that the mobs do not make communities safer. On the contrary, they make communities more dangerous. And I want to speak sort of directly now to anyone who thinks the riots are somehow justified. They're not. And you can dress it up many different ways you want, or however you want. You can call it a protest, you can call it anger, you can call it defend the community, but when homes are attacked, when people are terrified because of their background, when vehicles are burnt and streets are wrecked, this is not a protest. It's fucking criminal disorder. That's just literally what it is. And if you're involved in it, you should be arrested, charged, and put before the courts. The same standard applies to everyone. The man accused in the knife attack should face the court. The rioters should face the court, what they've done to some of them young families. The people inciting violence online should face the court. And this is how justice works. We can all show the politicians when the next election comes up what we think. Then they will see how justice works. Not one rule for one group and another rule for another. Not outrage when only the person you dislike breaks the law. Not silence when someone on your side does it. Law and order has to mean law and order for everybody. Because if it does not, it means nothing. I also want to say this, that peaceful protest is a right. It matters. People are allowed to gather. People are allowed to demand tighter immigration rules. People are allowed to criticise government policy, and they are allowed to say what they want as around stronger border controls and vetting and deportation of serious criminals. And they need more transparency. And that is a democracy. That's how we work. That's how we should work. But peaceful protest means peaceful. It does not mean mass men. It does not mean fire. It does not mean bricks. It does not mean targeting people's home. It does not mean frightening children. It does not mean trying to storm hotels. And if you cannot make your point without a fucking petrol bomb, maybe your point is not as strong as you think it is. And if you think somehow that a mob around you before you feel brave enough to start fighting and frightening families, maybe you're not brave at all. The real bravery in this story came from the people who intervened during the attack. The bystanders stepped in, that man with that hurl, the emergency service who responded, the doctors and nurses treating Stephen, the officers trying to hold the line while missiles are being thrown at them, the ordinary residents just trying to protect neighbours. That was courageous. Not setting fire to someone's life and calling it community defence. So, I know I rambled there for a bit, but where do we go from here, folks? First, the violence surely has to stop immediately. No excuses, no but, no people are angry, just stop. Secondly, anyone with information about the knife attack should go to the police, not Facebook. And third, false information needs to stop being shared, because if you don't know what is true, do not post it. And fourth, political leaders need to condemn the riots clearly without playing games. I'm talking to them loyalist unionist politicians, they know what they're doing. Fifth, we need a serious lawful discussion about immigration controls, asylum systems, the deportation of criminals, and cooperation between UK, Ireland and EU. Not slogans, not mobs, but policy. We need that now. And finally, we need to remember the human beings at the centre of this. Stephen Ogilvy is not a symbol for people to hijack. He is a man in hospital who's lost his eye, might lose another one. He is someone's loved one. His family deserve dignity, privacy, and support. The families forced from their homes are not symbols either. They are people, they are frightened. Some of them may have children, which we do know that they have some wee kids, 2 months old. Some of them have done nothing more controversial in life than just being in the wrong place at the wrong time and looking for someone to blame. And that should shame us. It should shame us all. Because the community is not judged by how loudly it shouts when it's angry. It is judged by how it behaves when anger can turn into something ugly. And over the last few nights, parts of this part of the country have looked very ugly. But that does not have to be the final word. The final word can be this, is that justice for the victim, full support for his family, strong punishment for the guilty. Tighter and smarter controls were needed, and absolutely no toleration for mobs terrorising innocent people. That is not weakness, that is decency, that is law, and that is the only way forward, surely, in this place. Because if we let everything horrific crime become an excuse for collective revenge, and when have we learned anything? When do we stop? Like in this place here, more than anywhere, should know the cost of learning nothing. So let the courts do their job, let the police do their job, let politicians finally do their job for once, and get together on immigration policy, and let the raiders go home before they destroy more lives in the name of a family who have already told them to stop. Folks, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again.